Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Linda Susan Ulrich. My pronouns are they, them, and I currently serve as the minister of this congregation. And I'm so glad that you are all here today. We start our services with something called Loved, living our values every day, which gives different groups in our community the chance to talk about the good work that they're doing out in the world. And so today I'd like to invite up Greg Feely to talk about New Haven Reads.
Good morning. I'm Greg Feely, and I'm here to talk about New Haven Reads, a community organization that has been serving children in the New Haven area for more than 20 years. When I first became involved with New Haven Reads, it was simply called the Book Bank and offered free books to children and adults who came in off the streets to peruse the shelves. It was then situated across the street from the neighborhood music school, and I would go there with my children after their music lessons and let them browse. At one point, Christine Alexander, its founder, asked me if I'd be willing to help tutor some of the students she was bringing in. The tutoring program was a success, and it soon grew to become the organization's main activity. Within a few years, the Book Bank became New Haven Reads, a nonprofit community organization with a small staff and dozens of volunteers who now work at 3 locations in New Haven, offering one-on-one tutoring to more than 300 students. If you've ever donated books to the USNH used book sale, you've helped support New Haven Reads, because the books I cannot sell here, and you guys donate a lot, but you're pretty fussy about what you buy, I donate to them. As welcome as the books are, however, it is the volunteer tutors that they really rely on and they really need. The tutoring sessions last 50 minutes, and they take place weekday afternoons and on Saturdays. Weekday afternoons, early evenings, and on Saturdays. At one point, my entire family tutored at New Haven Reads on Saturday afternoon, and I still go there at the end of my teaching days. One afternoon, about a dozen years ago, I entered the main building to see Wayne Shatty, who had been minister here for 30 years, sitting as a volunteer at the reception desk. He was then in his 90s, and as it turned out, in the last year of his life, but he was volunteering there. I've not seen a lot of other Unitarians at New Haven Reads, although Susan Lindsley is one, but I'd like to. There are more students in need of literacy tutoring than there are tutors, and they always have a waiting list. Tutors use special literacy software. Every student tutor session has its own laptop, and as well as working on workbooks designed for that student's specific needs. And toward the end of the session, the student and tutor read together. New Haven Reads offers a training program for those willing to volunteer, although I can't tell you what it's like because I began long before the program existed. I would love to see more USNH members involved. You can contact them at, guess what? newhavenreads.org. Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to this in-person and live-streamed service of the Unitarian Society of New Haven. I'm Jim Peters. My pronouns are he and him. I'm a member of the worship committee, and it's my joy to welcome one and all to worship this morning. At USNH, we are a diverse, multi-generational faith community that inspires lives of compassion and generosity, nurtures spiritual growth, cultivates transformative connections, and creates a more just world. Thank you for choosing to be here now. If you're visiting us for the first time, or perhaps new enough to USNH that you have questions about Unitarian Universalism and our congregation, grab a cup of coffee or tea in the social hall if you'd like, and join us today in room 209, that's upstairs and to the left, for our monthly visitors chat right after the service, sponsored by the Connections team, which is formerly known as the membership team. Friends, we welcome Reverend Linda Susan back one more time to the pulpit this morning. Following the service, there'll be coffee and light refreshments in the social hall just behind the sanctuary. There will be cake to celebrate Linda Susan's ministry with us as we say our goodbyes. All are warmly invited to come and enjoy some time in fellowship. And now I invite you to confirm that your electronic devices are securely in worship mode as our service continues.
We are one, a diverse group of proudly kindred spirits, here not by coincidence, but because we choose to journey together. We are active and proactive. We care deeply. We live our love as best we can. We are one, working, eating, laughing, playing, singing, storytelling, sharing, and rejoicing, getting to know each other, taking risks, opening up, questioning, seeking, searching, trying to understand, struggling, making mistakes, paying attention, asking questions, listening, living our answers, learning to love our neighbors, learning to love ourselves, apologizing and forgiving with humility, being forgiven through grace, creating the beloved community together. We are one.
We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together.
Covenant lies at the center of how Unitarian Universalists gather in community. We are not united by a particular set of beliefs, but by the promises we make about how we will be together, how we will treat each other, and how we will seek to mend relationships when we fall short of our aspirations. Today, we'll recite together a brief version of our covenant. I encourage you to read the full version on the website. While the following words express our intentions in writing, our true covenant lives and breathes in our actions. Please join me now in reciting the words that appear in your order of service or in the chat on the live stream. Together, let us say, we covenant together to create and nurture a culture of respect and kindness and to engage in the spiritual and everyday practice of loving more generously. To this end, we will strive to be open, value differences, listen deeply, use kind language, speak our truths, work with conflict, seek humor and joy.
My name is Sharon McBlain, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I invite you to rise in body, in spirit, and in all the ways that we do, and join me in singing hymn number 128 in the gray hymnal, For All That Is Our Life.
Good morning. My name is Jesse Greist, and I am the Director of Lifespan Religious Education here. My pronouns are he and him. When I was 15 years old, I had a chance to be a counselor in training at the Unitarian Universalist Summer Camp, Row, up in Western Massachusetts. And I actually wound up going to Row for 11 years as I was growing up. But when I was a counselor in training there, I worked with a wonderful group of young people at junior high camp in Doyle Cabin. And for those of you that know Row. And on the last day, there was this sense of despair around the camp. Because here we had been for 3 weeks together, a group of junior high age students and their counselors in training who had deepened our relationship with each other, who had shared from our hearts, shared from our souls, shared showers and bathrooms. And here it was, the final day, and everyone was so sad to go their separate ways the next day. We had a closing ceremony on the Friday night, the last night, and I will never forget the words that one of the counselors shared. This was actually a counselor named Nadia Boltz, who went on to become a minister years after that. And Nadia said to everyone, "These past 3 weeks, I have loved you the way I love the grass, the trees, the birds, the insects, all that is right here around us, all that is tangible. I love you the way I love everything I can touch and see and hear right around me. Tomorrow, I will love you the way I love the stars. The stars which will be so distant, which one can never hope to reach out and touch, but yet which illuminate the night sky, which form constellations, and which remind us that there is something out there. Let our love be greater than here and now. Let our love be something bigger. Now, Reverend Linda Susan, when you came to us to start your ministry, the children and youth of USNH created a charge for you. And to remind everyone, that charge reads as follows. The children and youth of the Unitarian Society of New Haven charge Reverend Linda Susan to be kind and welcoming to everyone, to recognize young people in meaningful ways in worship and in the wider community, to engage young people honestly and listen with empathy, to participate in social justice work and empower us to do the same. And when it's possible and appropriate, let us be loud. This charge is now not a charge that represents the love that we have for what is right in front of us, right here in this room. This charge is a charge to continue the work of love and ministry as a star in our constellation of Unitarian Universalism, a star that illuminates all the empty space out there. So we present it to you again, this time as a star. Cedra, would you like to come give this to Reverend Linda Susan? And as you receive this charge for your wider ministry in Unitarian Universalism, the children and youth will stand and we will make our way out to our classes as we sing the children on. Please join me. The words are in your order of service. Our roots go down, down to the earth. Our roots go down, down to the earth. Our roots go down, down to the earth. Our roots go down. Our roots go down, down to the earth. Our roots go down, down to the earth. Our roots go down, down to the earth. Our roots go down.
In this community of care, we take time each week to reflect, either inwardly or in words, on the collective joys and sorrows we bear. We do so knowing that joys shared are made all the more wonderful, and we do so knowing that our burdens can be made more tolerable, knowing that we do not bear them alone. Antonia, our USNH bookkeeper, is now home, recovering from a week in the hospital with COVID and pneumonia. We miss her and look forward to her return. Please hold her in your thoughts and send best wishes for her speedy recovery.
I invite you into a time of meditation, prayer, or contemplation of ultimate things. In a world of continued war, police brutality, and climate crisis. It can be hard to move through life with an open heart. Yet open hearts are one of humanity's most effective tools for moving beyond violence and devastation. Today, I invite you to listen to the hymn as it repeats and allow your heart to soften if you can. As you do, you may find that it opens fully, or stays closed, or softens just around the edges. Your heart knows best what it can handle right now, so just gently notice what happens. At the end of the music, we'll hold silence for a short time. Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart, open my heart, open my heart, open my heart to all I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart, open my heart, open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. Let me be part. Let me be part. Open my heart, open my heart, open my heart, open my heart. Amen.
We've come to the time in our service where we hold in the light a spirit of collective generosity, which enables the work we do in this community and the wider world. After the service, ushers in the back of the sanctuary will gladly receive plate donations. Donations can also be made via our website, usnh.org, or by sending a check to 700 Hartford Turnpike, Hamden, Connecticut 06517. Please know that your contribution in whatever form and in whatever amount is gratefully received. This morning's reading is We Hold Hope Close by the Reverend Teresa Niñan Soto. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath, the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream, and by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home.
This wasn't how this was supposed to go. We were supposed to have a good, long time together. The years of separation due to COVID would become a blip in the overall ministry, a tough start that we'd look back on as a challenge we got through together. We even had history on our side. The first, third, and fifth settled ministers at USNH had short tenures, while the second and fourth were around for decades. As settled minister number 6, I was feeling good about those odds. I very much wanted to provide that kind of stability amidst the grief and change of recent years. This fall, after so much time apart or in limited contact, we were starting to hit our stride. The worship team was knocking it out of the park Sunday after Sunday. A leadership retreat brought renewed energy to carrying out our mission. The management team started working with a consultant to help move us forward in the direction set by your elected board of trustees. There was excitement in the air. And then, due to circumstances beyond anyone's control, everything came to a halt. And for me, as your minister, it's becoming a permanent halt. I'm so sorry that we're here. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. This isn't how anyone wanted things to go. And yet here we are, facing the reality that this is how things are. Buddhism teaches us that attachment to outcome is the cause of suffering, but most of us hold expectations in one form or another. Sometimes they're mundane, like expecting a coffee shop to sell you a cup of coffee. Sometimes, like expecting Connecticut drivers to stop at red lights. The expectations are, shall we say, more aspirational. And sometimes they're a mixed bag, like expecting a friend to treat you a certain way. Your desire may be reasonable, but you might still get disappointed. One of the difficult but real gifts I gained as a foster parent was learning firsthand about impermanence. Biological parents' lives are also vulnerable to potential disruption, whether through illness or accident. But the limitations become much more obvious as a foster parent. I couldn't dream about things like playing catch together or attending high school graduation because I knew I might not have a future with that child. I knew grief could wait behind any corner because the child might go back to biofamily. Besides, when it comes to foster care and adoption, the complexity of the situation resists any clear answer to what is supposed to happen anyway. We had a foster daughter for 5 months who eventually went to live with relatives. I was devastated, but a friend said something of vital importance to me. She said, "She will always have been your daughter." And I immediately recognized the truth of it. Nothing could take away the time we'd spent with her or the love we'd given her. That one sentence was so healing because it honored what had been rather than focusing on what was lost. I will always have been your minister. I will always have been your minister. And nothing can take away the time we've spent together or the care we've shown each other, especially through the years of a global pandemic. Nothing can diminish our investment in Covenant or our dedication to social justice or our commitment to the next generation. We thought we'd have more time, but we did so much good in the time we did have. First and foremost, we survived COVID. I never want to take that for granted. We set up protocols to keep people as safe as possible and continued streaming worship services. We had our Saturday drive-through events, which is where I met many of you in person for the first time. We came up with creative responses to the pandemic, like the Olympics and Friend in the Wintertime. We were also there for each other through many, many memorial services, some of which had to be postponed during the period when gatherings were most unsafe. We celebrated USNH's 70th anniversary and held an installation service where the preacher was the Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, who's going to be the next president of the UUA. We adopted the 8th principle and started exploring the recommendations in widening the circle of concern. We kept up our relationships with the folks at Waverly and stayed active with Connect. We sent thousands of postcards and letters to people around the country and were recognized by the UUA as a good trouble congregation. During my time here, I took the lead on some key projects. I restructured the pastoral care program to involve more people in the peer-to-peer care and to ensure that everyone in the congregation, especially new folks, could access support when they needed it. I led classes in Lectio Divina, spiritual companioning, and of course the new to UU class for those considering membership. I was part of the team that designed the leadership retreat I mentioned. I invited the board to update the end statements, which are the goals that turn the mission into action, and then started with the management team on the road to putting them into operation. There's so much more I could mention about all we've done together, but there's one achievement I'm especially proud of: the Covenant becoming a standard part of worship services. At my very first Sunday in this very pulpit, I talked about Covenant and its centrality to Unitarian Universalism. In the years since, you've heard me talk about it often. It's one of the things I'm most passionate about in our faith tradition because it's both powerful and compassionate. This last fall, I had several different people suggest that we change up the liturgy a bit because the words of the Covenant were starting to become rote. My first response? Yes! Yes! Because if it was becoming rote, it meant that it was getting into your bodies. That's how Covenant becomes a living, breathing process, and not just some pretty words on the website. I'm so excited for you and what it will mean for you to lean into Covenant in the years to come. One of my great griefs in leaving USNH now is that all the potential of our shared ministry won't have a chance to come to fruition. Now, I'm neither Moses nor Martin Luther King Jr., but I do have some sense of what it means to see your people moving forward without you. Because you will move forward without me. This wasn't how we thought things would be. This wasn't what we'd envisioned together. But this is the way things are. Theologian Henry Nelson Wyman considered it working against the good to lack responsiveness to the world or to be willing to be transformed. But you all opened your hearts to me and my ministry. You opened yourselves up to transformation. And now you'll respond to the reality of my leaving with the same determination and thoughtfulness and care that I've seen over and over again during my time at USNH. A quick practical word. I'll be living in the area for a while yet, and we may run into each other at the grocery store or on a walk. Please feel free to say hello. It won't be a pastoral visit or a rundown of USNH happenings, but it doesn't have to be awkward either. I still care about all of you. More than that, I love you. I love you. You have a claim on my heart. One of the great privileges of being a minister is that feeling tremendous love for people is part of the job description. It's also one of the things that makes ministry so hard, especially when saying goodbye. In the end, though, this love I feel isn't about me. It's about touching into something universal and allowing it to flow through me. It's about showing up as the arms of the love that embraces all, the love that we can do nothing to earn and nothing to lose. If you take nothing else from my ministry here, remember this: you are profoundly loved, exactly as you are, just because you exist. Believe in a love that is being stored up for you like an inheritance, writes Rainer Maria Rilke. Have faith that in this love there is a strength and a blessing so large that you can travel as far as you wish without having to step outside it. The most important thing about this ministry isn't how it ended. It's that we opened our hearts to each other. We took that risk. We created that relationship, and I'm profoundly grateful that we did, because I will always have been your minister. We don't have to focus on the length of the time we traveled together, because the path itself was transformational. And now something new unfurls for all of us. Unsought, but full of promise nonetheless. So let's greet it with open hearts and with love beaming through everything we do. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
I invite you to rise in body, in spirit, in all the ways that we do, and join me in singing hymn number 1020 in the Teal hymnal, Woyaya.
There might be more room over here. Yeah. Yeah, well done. See, he's got it. Oh, dear.
When USNH installed you as our 6th settled minister, you and the congregation made a sacred covenant with each other. We asked you to help us deepen our spiritual engagement, cultivate justice, care for each other, and build the beloved community of which we dream. We promise to work with you to build a shared ministry rooted in transformation, authenticity, wholeness, and humor.
And I pledge to minister with my full self in the ways of justice, compassion, and love. I responded to your invitation for spiritual leadership, ethical guidance, and religious insight. I helped you be your best selves by calling you back to mission and covenant. I kept reminding you of the enduring values you profess. I companioned you as you advanced justice in and beyond our community. I did all of this to the best of my abilities, always.
As this chapter in USNH's history draws to a close, you will no longer be beholden to the congregation in the same way. While the care and love we've shared will live on, the particular bond between congregation and settled minister will fall away. Therefore, we invite all members of the congregation to speak aloud the words found in your order of service. Together, let us say, with deep gratitude for our journey together, we release you from the vows of installation and send you onward with love. Thanks. And now please join me in the words we use to extinguish the chalice, which you'll find in your order of service or in the chat on the live stream. Together, let us say, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
There are no words that will do justice to my love for you. That's why I had to sing to you today, to communicate some small portion of it. May the silences and the music be held within your bodies as strongly as that covenant. May you go and do more good in the world. Be kind to each other. Be kind to yourselves. And never forget that you are stronger together than you are alone. And never forget you are profoundly loved, exactly as you are, simply because you exist. So one last time, let us go forth, my friends, with courage and with kindness, and be a blessing to this broken and beautiful world. Amen.